Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio today by Craig Burley. Stevie didn't get lost getting here, so he's also here as we kick things off with the early game in the Premier League. Liverpool are taking on Chelsea. This one finished 0-0. It's kind of one of those games that actually went pretty much as everyone expected. Not a lot of quality shown from either side, and it was your typical kind of mid-table battle, epitomised by the fact, of course, when you take a look at the Premier League table and where they stand after today's games, they are 8th and 10th respectively, level on points with Brentford in between them. Oh, look who's happy to be here. Still in Germany, Stuart Robson joins us.
He loves Derek so much.
He loves
Derek so much.
We'll get a Robbo in a minute.
Well, it was, you know what it was like? It was like, and it's a shame really, but it was like two heavyweight boxers getting one final payday. And it's a shame because these two have been, over the years, particularly recently, have been tremendous. But it was two sides that are struggling. I mean, a positive from Chelsea perspective, Silva again was terrific. Georginio was excellent, and Modric was really exciting when he came on. I thought Ziyech played all right. They were trying to hit that big diagonal out to Ziyech, switchy play, balls over the top. And I thought they controlled a fair amount of it in the first half as it went on. But yeah, Havertz had his goal chopped off, and then he had a couple of opportunities that he never took. But yeah, I mean, at the moment it's a bit of a sad sight to see.
Stevie, after the Wolves game, you said
when I saw the team, I thought, this looks like a bit of mix and match.
Right.
You know, as if they've kind of thrown a team together. And actually, they played as though they'd been thrown together. You know, you got Harvey Elliott, who I keep saying is learning his trade, and he's been playing in the middle of the park, now finds himself on the left-hand side of a front three. Gakpo through the middle, who's not a centre-forward. Naby Keita, I mean, 70 million, really. Bazicic actually did okay. And Thiago was Thiago. I mean, Milner, right? I mean, it just wasn't good. It was bang average. Yeah. And if it wasn't for Alisson making that save from Baishiel in the first half, then this could have gone way wrong. Had Liverpool lost a goal and gone behind, this could have went way wrong. So at the end of the day, I think we should just be happy and take a point if you're Liverpool, the way they played. Because there was nothing to talk about with Liverpool.
I think it tells you all. I mean, we know some of Chelsea's selection was really because of a long injury list, big injury list, to be fair to them. But when you're putting in young Bajcetic again, who did play well in midweek and he's only 18, but when he's starting ahead of Fabinho and Henderson, I think it's kind of telling you where they are. Yeah. That he's played these experienced players, and he just isn't getting a tune out of them whatsoever.
Do you know the strange thing as well? You know when he made all the substitutes and Henderson and Fabinho come on? Normally, under normal circumstances, you'd be going, oh, he's bringing the cavalry on here to win the game. I didn't feel like that when they came on. I'm like, well, we'll probably just
going for the motions.
We won't lose the game.
Right.
I didn't get the feeling of, oh, they're making all these changes to go and get after it. Because nothing changed. You know, no surprise, Nunez showed a bit of life. But other than that, there was no difference.
What's wrong with them, Robbo?
Again, they're not playing with a great intensity. There's a lack of confidence, and I agree with what Craig just said. It looks as though Klopp has not given up on one or two of the players, but he's not particularly happy with one or two players. He decided to play Milner at right back rather than Alexander-Arnold. Bajcetic in midfield instead of Fabinho, and Henderson could have played as well. You play Gakpo through the centre-forward position, as Stevie said. He's not a centre-forward. He likes to play off the left-hand side. He's already lost a little bit of confidence. He doesn't look the player that we saw at the World Cup. So there's a lot of things going wrong with Liverpool at the moment. And even defensively, they had one or two issues. And I thought for the first half, Chelsea controlled the game. Then Liverpool, right at the start of the second half, that's what you expect from Liverpool. Pressing the ball high up the field, winning it back, playing at a high tempo. But they couldn't maintain it. There's a lot of things wrong with Liverpool at the moment.
I think if Chelsea had somebody proper up front that was a proper forward, and I heard it mentioned in the commentary actually, like a Didier Drogba. I mean, he's gone back a few years.
Yeah.
But if they had somebody up front with pace and power, that ball over the top would have killed Liverpool today. I mean, it almost did with Havertz on a couple of occasions. And they were looking for it. Thiago Silva was coming out and he was looking for it. And then even when they had the ball on the left, they were looking for that big switch because Andy Robertson had tucked in. So all in all, I think, bearing in mind the last two results being Crystal Palace and this one, bearing in mind the previous results, I think he'll be pretty happy.
I think you're going to be happier, aren't you, Robert, being a Chelsea fan than you are a Liverpool supporter at the moment?
Yes. My only problem with Potter is that when you're a coach, you have to set down the basics of what your game plan. So you go into a club and you sort of say, for 6-7 weeks, I've got to do the basics and make sure everybody knows the basics. And as we get better and as we start to play well, I'll develop the tactics. I'll start to make 1 or 2 changes. I was watching Chelsea today and they changed from a back 3 to a back 4. They changed the midfield shape on 3 or 4 occasions. They changed everything all over the place. I think he's trying too hard at the moment, Graham Potter. He's trying to be too clever. You've got to stick to the basics when you go into a club, and you're struggling at the moment. Until he gets those basics right and the way he wants to play, he can't then develop and keep changing the tactics and keep changing the personnel. I know he's got injuries, but he's got to make sure the players know exactly what he's doing. He's trying too hard at the moment to be clever.
Well, I think, in all fairness, though, I think part of that is, a huge part of that has to be, Stevie, the amount of injuries that he's got. I know all these new players have come in, the signing people for fun. I know Felix has got to serve another match suspension, but
11 injuries.
I mean, that's a lot.
Who can deal with that?
Right. Mudryk looked fun, didn't he, when he came on?
Aye, looked sharp.
Yeah.
Could have had a couple. Yeah. No, bright. I mean, again,
quick feet.
The difference between Chelsea and Liverpool, the changes they made, the players made a difference.
This was great feet, wasn't it? The finish wasn't, but watch just here how he shifts it left to right and then back on his left. Not just that, if you can cement these skills along with the pace that he's got, can you imagine? I think, when Potter...
He's not fit. He said he's not fit.
Potter mentioned that he's had a winter break, he's had a good few weeks, I think 10 weeks, did he say 10 weeks? He's not done much. So he's got that to come, he's got the new country, fit in with the new teammates, but I'm looking at him today coming on. I mean, I saw him play for Ukraine against Scotland, he came off the bench 12 months or so ago and he looked super sharp that day. I remember saying to Stevie and he was saying, yeah, he does, but he does look raw.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at him thinking, I can get João Felix back in this side and get him with his pace and get Felix floating about, I've only got one more slot to fill, whether it's Havertz or somebody else. And that could be quite an exciting front line. But it just depends when Felix is coming back, but it just depends when other injuries are coming back. But I thought he looked terrific when he came on.
I wish Potter would sort out how and who he wants to play in the middle of the park. I know he's got injuries. Right. Today, I don't think going to Anfield's a good time to play a young guy out of position in the middle of the park. They did with Hall.
Right.
And actually almost cost Chelsea because they nearly lost a goal just because his body was all wrong. He's facing his own goal. He's he lost the ball. Liverpool could have scored. And sometimes, as the boys were saying, if you try and be too clever, it can bite you. I think if you get settled down with all the talent you've got up front that Craig just mentioned, if you get your middle of the park settled, and by that I mean decide who you're playing. Again, he changed it in the middle of the park today. So get settled, and then throw all your talent on top of it, and then you can start going up the table.
It's not fair on. I don't think it's very fair on the young guys as well.
Right.
You go to Anfield, they're not playing great. He's done pretty well at left back. He's 18. He goes into the left side of the midfield, and sometimes it was middle of the park he was floating into. It was really tight in there in the first half an hour. I mean, really tight. There wasn't a lot of space at all. Liverpool were trying to squeeze it. Chelsea were trying to play out. And as Stevie said, he's showing for the ball because he's not frightened to show for it. But then Liverpool are pressing him and they're playing balls into him. He's got his back to goal and it's tough. I mean, it can destroy a youngster's confidence. Sure. It's difficult enough at 18 coming in and playing in your preferred position. But on top of that, as I said earlier, I thought Georginio actually played really well today and he helped him. But boy, he needs to get all those. I mean, Loftus-Cheek was on the bench. He's been over the course, and yet he's playing this kid in there ahead of somebody like Loftus-Cheek. I think that's telling another story.
Of course, both of these teams now, really, their goal is to finish top 4 come the end of the season. A big ask, considering what we've seen from them, of course, so far this campaign. Liverpool 2-1, Chelsea at 8-1. Remember, they're level on points. Liverpool do have a game in hand. Robert, I think if I was betting at the moment, I would say that Chelsea would finish higher than Liverpool.
Based on what we saw today, I think you're right. Chelsea looked the slightly better team. Liverpool looked lacking in confidence. Chelsea have got some good individual players. As we said, Potter's got to make sure he gets it all the right pieces in the right places. And I think over the course of the season, I think Chelsea will be slightly better. Liverpool is struggling at the moment. I'm not sure either of them are going to get into the top four, but at the moment, I would say on the basis of what we saw today, Chelsea have got more chance.
Well, Liverpool have got some injuries. And one or two to come back.
Right, yeah. They got Van Dijk obviously out.
They're not going to... Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been playing well all season anyway. I mean, they were losing goals for fun when he was in the team. So, I wouldn't imagine they're going to do much business, if any, in the January transfer window again. They've obviously Gakpo. Whereas Chelsea, they could do more business. They've already done business. And I don't know the time frame on some of these players to come back. But if they come back in the next 4 to 6 weeks, he's going to have a bunch of players that could potentially put a run together. Yeah. Whereas Liverpool, it's just so flat.
Yep.
And it's like this manager just wants this season to end and then they can figure it out in the summer where they go again.
Every which way you look, there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel for Chelsea with the players they've got coming back.
Sure.
And when you think about Liverpool with the players they've got to come back, I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I don't see 2-1. I'm absolutely shocked at 2-1. If everybody at Liverpool was fit right now, I still wouldn't put money on them winning the next game.
Really?
You don't know what you're going to get, regardless
you said
of the
turn the corner.
opposition.
Yeah, what about the Wolves game?
I was watching.
I don't know who to tell to shut up for, Stu or him.
He's getting it from both sides.
Meanwhile.